Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Elevate Project Espresso Hour. This is episode number 5. Hope you're doing well. This is Saturday, November 15th. We are in the middle of the month. Now, I do want to quickly apologize for those of you that were waiting for the 7:45 a.m. start. I was here. For whatever reason, I had some technical difficulty and didn't go live. And then I went on again an hour later and realized my audio wasn't working. So hopefully, if you are still around and you're coming in, I appreciate you. And just checking my audio levels here. Check, check, check. If you're watching right now, just add something to the chat if you can hear me or not. So if this is your first time here to the Elevate Project Espresso Hour, well, the first things first is a cup of coffee. So I don't know if this is lucky or not. This is my second cup of Joe for the day. And for a Saturday, that's one more than I usually have. Now, during the week, I definitely have multiple cups of coffee. On a Saturday, I like to have one and kind of enjoy the rest of the day. Now, I am having Nespresso. Nespresso is coming out with their winter holiday flavors. And this one I'm trying is peppermint. It's one of my favorites. I get it every single year. Also got cinnamon, hibiscus, and there are some other flavors as well. Now, of course, if you have Nespresso, I'm not trying all of them at once, just kind of one sleeve at a time kind of thing. Now, with that being said, if this is your first time here, what is this show all about? What's this live stream all about? Well, to start this off, the Elevate Project YouTube channel started in 2019, 2020, roughly around that time. During the pandemic, I came on and I wanted to help those that are working from home for the very first time. Luckily, at that time, I worked from home since 2011. And I've been on a lot of virtual meetings. I trained, I was a facilitator. So I wanted to help those that were new to elevate their presence online because you're not going to have the same impact as you would when you were in person. And it literally evolved. It grew. I gained 1,000 subscribers. I got monetized. And through the YouTube channel, I grew into a videography company, which was amazing. However, I prioritized the videography business over my YouTube channel. And so I put the YouTube channel on pause. The last video that I released was in 2023 or late 2022. And during that time, luckily, the views still came in. A lot of people still found value in the content that I was creating. And in 2024, beginning of 2025, I got demonetized. And it wasn't demonetized because of strikes or anything like that. Is that YouTube has particular barriers or gates before you get monetized. One is subscribers. So right now, currently, I'm over 2,700 subscribers for the channel. And secondly is they added this new thing where you have to upload a minimum of 3 videos in the last 90 days. So I didn't release any videos, obviously, since 2023. And then the third thing is you need to do those 2 things plus one of either 4,000 watch hours over a period of 365 days, so 1 year, or 10 million views on shorts. So what had happened was a lot of my content was obviously for presentations, and as people got out of the pandemic, went back into the office. So those views for those videos started to go down. And not only that, I started talking about tech reviews. So doing tech about mice, keyboards, monitors, cameras, webcams that help elevate the picture quality and the video quality online. And then as I went into videography business, really focused on camera gear. And of course, new cameras come out every single year. New monitors come out every year. New keyboards come out every single year. And so those views started to decline as well. However, there was this immediate dip. And I have a few theories about it. Is one, it is, I think, important for YouTube to pull the right content in front of the right people. And that when they added that upload 3 videos in the last 90 days. And YouTube wants you to be successful. And YouTubers or influencers that are posting roughly the same content and let's say have posted in the last 90 days, I think YouTube prioritized those channels and those videos, which makes sense, which totally makes sense. And so I wanted to make a decision. I was talking, I'm still in the videography business, and to my colleagues and my peers, and YouTube is so powerful today, especially when it comes to learning, and I would say wanting to know what things do in the real world before purchasing products as well. And so I'm revitalizing the channel. Now, I had 2 options. I could revitalize the channel or start a brand new channel. And starting a brand new channel was very, very appealing. Then I was thinking about the content that I was going to create. And if it was a completely different topic, let's say fitness and talking about cycling, it wouldn't make sense to revitalize this channel with a whole different new topic where existing viewers were going to be confused on why they subscribed or watched my channel in the first place. Now, because I'm talking about the same things, so YouTube content, elevating your presence online, productivity, as well as tech reviews, gear reviews, it made sense for me to revitalize the channel. Now, there's some pros and cons, and so this is documentation of my journey. And for the Espresso Hour is just going week over week. So we're going to deep dive into my analytics, going to the back end of my YouTube channel to kind of see what have we done in the week, what worked, and what are some opportunities, and what are the action plans for the upcoming week. So you're going to get a sneak peek of some of the content that will be coming out, not necessarily next week specifically, but ongoing for the rest of the year. And one thing I'll probably talk about at the end or during the explanation of the back end is resilience, because you're going to have some good weeks and you're going to have some bad weeks. But from a mindset perspective, resilience and not worry too much as long as you're learning from week to week. Okay, let's go to the back end of my analytics. So as you can see here, this is my channel analytics for the Elev8 project. And typically when you log in, it will say the last 28 days. So I've changed this to the last 7 days. And when we take a look here, we have 1,000 views, which is actually 30% less than last week. So that is a decline. Watch time hours is also 35% less than previous 7 days. So again, a decline week after week. And then we had 0 subscribers. We had, looks like 1 subscriber, and then we had 1 leave, which is a balance of 0. So let's take a look at the views for a moment. Now, for a little bit of a refresher, if this is your first time joining, is my goal to revitalize the channels to create more. And to create more, my goal is to release 3 videos or 3 types of content every single week. So 1 is a video, which is edited and filmed specifically on the topics of the channel, which is content creation, gear reviews, productivity, etc. The second piece of content per week is I have a podcast, the Elev8 Project Podcast, which is a lot similar to the live stream, which is really talking more in a broader sense and insight of my strategies and what I'm doing and things that I'm trying to avoid to be successful during this revitalization. But really, it's a documentation of rebuilding the channel. And so I have a video podcast that I release each week as well. We're in season 2. If you're interested, if you like content like that, make sure to subscribe. And then the third piece of content is the live stream, which is this live stream every Saturday to go by the week by week, and kind of really take a look at the back end and see what's working, see what's not working, etc. So those are the 3 pieces of content. So keep that in mind as we look at the rest of the back end here. So let's go back here. And on November 10th, this was the one piece of content which was specific to the channel. And it was on the Insta360 Go Ultra, connecting to an external mic. The external mics that I was connecting it to was USB-C. One was the Rode Wireless Pro and the DJI mic wireless setup, the original, the first generation. And then you can see I don't have the video podcast. However, the video podcast episode number 5 was released today. I normally release that on a Thursday and Friday, and then the live streams every Saturday. So we don't typically see that here. And then watch time hours. Watch time hours, you can see we have a spike here on Sunday, and we relatively held watch time hours on the release, and then we kind of have this decline. Now, if we look at the last 28 days, typically, we're going to get these spikes during video releases. And if I take a look at the video releases, the ones that are getting the biggest spikes in the last 2 to 3 weeks has actually been the Elev8 project podcast videos. So that's really, really interesting. This spike here was on the Insta360 Go Ultra review. The other videos get a little bit of a spike, but not as big as the podcast release. So if we go back to the 7 days, typically around, so this was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, normally we'd most likely see a spike. So that's something to kind of realize that's an opportunity. Is if I'm going to miss any video, don't miss the Elev8 Project podcast. That seems to be something that you want to watch. That is definitely something that is gaining traction, especially when it's creating content, because a lot of the ideas is not just for revitalizing a channel. It's also for if you're starting a brand new channel. A lot of the foundations are typically the same. So that's really interesting. So that's a huge opportunity. Now, subscribers, when we think about subscribers are important, but they're not as important. When you're looking to get monetized and you want to build a community, subscribers matters. And what I mean by that is the YouTube algorithm doesn't work like it used to. Before, you would have to subscribe to a channel to ensure that when you log into your YouTube, your feed are videos from the people you subscribe to. And the YouTube's goal is to keep you on the platform as long as possible, which makes sense because YouTube is getting a lot more viewership and even higher than Netflix, if I recall, as of today. So that's huge. So in the past, if you subscribed, let's say, just to 10 people and you see 10 videos, after you watch those 10 videos, it kind of ends scrolling. The scrolling ends. And then you kind of shut down YouTube and you go along with your day. Now, YouTube focuses on your interests and the type of content that you watch. So regardless if you subscribe to a channel or not, if you're watching content that you're not subscribed to, when you open up your YouTube channel and you start scrolling, you have this unlimited scroll because now it's going to add people that you subscribe to, people that you watch, and the type of content that you watch will add more content for you. So what I love about YouTube is that it is pulling content in front of the right people. So very, very cool. So for subscribers, going into the back end again, we can see that we do have 2,744 subscribers. So we are over the threshold, which is great. And the big focus is these watch time hours. So if we go to earn, if you are revitalizing your channel and let's say you don't have at least 1,000 subscribers, and maybe you're starting a new channel and you're wondering what are these barriers to get monetized on YouTube, these are the milestones. So in order to get supers, which is, let's say you're doing a live stream like this, think about it like a tip. And for shopping, if you have extra, let's say merchandise that you sell, you can add it. And in order to do that, you need to have a minimum of 500 subscribers, which we have hit that milestone. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, you have to upload at least 3 videos in the last 90 days, which we have. And also one of the following. So again, what I was talking about earlier is I had a huge dip in the beginning of the year, the end of 2024. So 1,730 valid public watch hours in the last 365 days, we haven't hit. Now, shorts, YouTube shorts, that is 3 million to hit this milestone. And I have 5,200 towards that 3 million in the last 90 days. And this is what I'm looking in the goal of doing this live stream and the podcast is to get this channel remonetized again. So this is what we're aiming for, is hitting this 4,000 watch hours. Of course, we have to hit the 3,000 first. Then we can get the supers and whatnot, which is a great milestone. And then this will give us the ability to, once we hit this, is to get monetized, is the AdSense, Google AdSense. So keep that in mind as we take a look at the rest of the analytics. So now we're going to take a look at what is the content that is getting us these views in the last 7 days. So here we have a YouTube short about the Apple MagSafe charger. And this is a short that's been great traction for the channel. If you take a look at the top 10 pieces of content, it's the only short in my top 10. And so it is something, shorts are something that I'm going to integrate in the new year. However, I am going to start creating some content on MagSafe products. I still do continue to use the Apple iPhone. This is the iPhone 17 Pro Max. And I definitely have a lot of MagSafe products. One specifically that I use all the time in my videography business is an attachment for my camera, so I can use my Apple iPhone as a field monitor, as a monitor for my camera. Now, for someone that is a little bit older, the flip screen sometimes is a little too small. I do also have larger field monitors. The great thing is I have Sony cameras, so Sony FX3, Sony FX30, and the Sony A7 IV. And there's an app that just makes it very seamless, very minimal lag, and it makes it easier for me to check exposure, white balance, color, all those type of things. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot to be said that people are interested in, or proving that people are looking for MagSafe type accessories. I do have multiple MagSafe chargers. Obviously, Apple. Belkin is the other brand that I have multiple chargers around the house. So we'll start talking about those as well. The other piece of content that's doing well on the channel is this Apple Magic Trackpad 3. And it's a little controversial because with Apple's new or current naming conventions, there isn't an Apple Trackpad 3. They've advertised the Apple Magic Trackpad 2, and then now it's just the Apple Magic Trackpad. There is 3 versions of the Apple Magic Trackpad is just not very different than the second version. So that is something to really kind of think about. And I had a comment recently on this video how some people are still using the original Magic Trackpad. So I think I'm going to do an update on this video because I still do have the original Magic Trackpad and it is still in my cupboard, and I did find it recently. So this is something that I would see, like, is it worth using an original trackpad where you can probably buy one used for fairly cheap and still have all the benefits of the Magic Trackpad today in 2025, 2026. Might do a new comparison. I still use, so here, right here on my desk, I still have the most recent model of the Apple Magic Trackpad in black. And so yeah, that's going to be something that I'm going to be adding to my content calendar more so for 2026. And here, which is great, so this is the most recent upload on the channel, is the Insta360 Go Ultra using an external microphone for better audio. And you're going to notice this mic in a lot of my videos is because I'm going to be doing a review, specifically the Rode Wireless Pro with this wireless mic stand module, or I don't really know what that's called right now. And this has been a great mic for my videography business and for a lot of different reasons. Now, that's my main wireless mic setup for my business. And I do have a backup, which is the DJI mic, original first generation. And one of the reasons why I upgraded or switched to the Wireless Pro is 32-bit float. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, no worries. I'm gonna be doing a review on it and talking about 32-bit float, but just to make it streamlined, is you don't really have to worry about your clients or yourself if you're using it when they're peaking or not getting enough volume when they're speaking. It kind of manages both a bit in real time. So when you're editing, it's pretty flawless. With the DJI mic, because it doesn't have 32-bit float and I don't have the settings correctly, I have to do a lot of editing to make it work. And when you have paying clients, it's not very professional, or it's very difficult when you have to say, hey, we have to reshoot this because the audio sucked or the audio wasn't very good. So a little tip, if the DJI mic did well for me. It's not like it didn't work. It was just nice to have that safety. One thing as a little tip, when you're doing professional work or even if you're doing things for yourself, monitor the audio, test the audio, making sure people that are using the mic, that you're going through a full range of testing. So regular talking, maybe when they're laughing, because that's typically when things are going to spike, and just tone. So that makes it easier to dial it in before you hit record. But anyways, the Rode Wireless Pro is the content that I was creating to connect for the Insta360 Go Ultra through USB-C. So it's good that that's getting traction. And then we have some older videos in 4th and 5th for last week, which is, SD cards. And I specifically talked about this for the FX30. However, SD card technology, compact flash cards, Express Type A really hasn't changed. So I'm not surprised that this is still getting traction. I spent a lot of time on this video as well. So it's nice that it's still performing. The how to balance and calibrate DJI RS3 Mini. So there is an updated version of this video. However, the older version is actually getting more traction, which is totally fine. Both videos are great. I updated it because there's a lot of comments about the lighting and it was fairly dark and it was difficult to see when I was going through the steps. So I'm glad that's still grabbing traction. Now, the 6th and 7th video is my newer content during the revitalization of the channel, which is the Elev8 Project podcast. This is the video. I think this is episode number 4. And then here is the Asus 360 Go Ultra review, which was released in the last couple weeks. And then, of course, I got the Rodecaster Pro for Zoom. The Rodecaster Pro is still a great audio interface. It's something that I still use. So I still have the Rodecaster Pro, and I use that in my videography business. However, for my office and what I use every single day, I'm using the Rodecaster Duo. A couple of reasons why is it's smaller. It fits on my desk because my desk is smaller today than it was in the past. And the Rodecaster Pro has 4 inputs or 4 inputs for mics. For the Duo only has 2, and I typically don't use more than 2 mics at a time. Typically, I'll have this setup, which is the Shure SM7B, and then I'll have like a Rode NTG5 boom mic that I'll connect to it as well. That is really the maximum amount of 2 mics for my desk that I'll use. So again, I'm probably going to do a video on the Rodecaster Duo. It is such a great and seamless device, and especially when we compare monitoring, the amps, the preamps for the headphones weren't that great on the Rodecaster Pro, and they've corrected that on the Rodecaster Duo, which doesn't surprise me. It's still selling today, and from my understanding, it's their #1 Rodecaster top selling, just because it's just so reliable and everything on it is great and customizable. And number 9 is an older video. Again, it's a webcam. I may not do that many more webcam videos. I'm more interested in just using cameras like the Sony FX30, like a mirrorless camera, Sony a7 IV, and reviewing and talking about using those as webcams. So right now I'm using the a7 IV with the Sony 24mm GM lens for this live stream. And how I do that is when I plug it in, it recognizes it as a webcam. And so again, something to look at, unless there's a webcam that's really, really exciting for me to purchase and try. And of course, if you're interested in seeing that type of content, let me know in the chat or let me know in the comments after the live stream. And then number 10 on the list for this week has been last week's Espresso Hour. So episode number 4. So that's nice to see. I'm glad to see that the Espresso Hour is getting some views. Not a lot, obviously, but this is also 1 week. And so there's these huge I'm in this range. If we take away the shorts, my views for the week per video is roughly 100 to 11 in the top 10. Obviously, there's going to be some views on some older videos, and that's something to recognize. I'm back in this 100 view area, which is totally fine. Watch time hours. So this is where I'm interested in, because when I'm looking, again, this goal to get monetized is the watch hours. And so is the content that I'm creating wanting people to watch all the way through. So these 3 types of content is a range. My video itself is roughly 3 to 5 minutes or 3 to 10 minutes. And the video podcast is roughly about 30 minutes to an hour. And then the live streams are usually between, what are we looking at right now? We're at 29 minutes. So let's say 30 minutes to an hour. So long form content, making sure this is the content that you're wanting to watch, and I hope it is. And so, yeah, it looks like we have a little bit of decline, but it really is because looking at week after week is we didn't release the video podcast on the Thursday, so which is okay. So if we take a look at content and audience, one thing I kind of want to express for if you are looking to start a new channel, and maybe if we think about content in itself, if you're revitalizing, is thinking about the title. And that's something I've been working on while I revitalize this channel, and I can see that we're getting some traction, is YouTube search. So creating content for me starts at the title. What title works is, are people even interested? Are people actually searching for the video that I want to make? And so that's why I like the live stream, and that's the reason why I like the Elev8 Project podcast, because I don't really have to think about a title, but the video I do. And so live streams just give me the ability just to talk about whatever I want in my niche, and regardless if it's popular today or not. When it comes to the videos, I'm being a little bit more focused on what is being searched. And there's a few different ways to do it. One is just using Google search. Just start typing in, or even in YouTube, just start typing in like, how do you, or what or something review, let's say a A7 IV review, whatever it is. And there is also vidIQ, which is something I use as well. And there's AI, there's Perplexity, there's ChatGPT. There's a lot of different AIs that you can use. But you can see here in my analytics, YouTube search is 63.3% where they're finding my videos. External are from links or sharing, which is great. Thank you. I appreciate you've been sharing my videos. Browse features, suggested videos. Suggested videos is something I'm going to focus on as well. I know in the past when I started my YouTube channel, I was showing up on suggested videos. So it may not be the #1 video for, let's say, giving an example, the mouse. So this is a Logitech MX Master 3S, and being suggested videos is great because then you can watch one video and have one perspective, and then you see in suggested and see a different perspective. I think that really helped the channel as well. And checking out my audience is 15.1% of my viewers are from the United States, 4.4% in India, which is surprising, and Canada 1.3%. If I go to see more, no, those are the three major that's for the last 7 days. But if I go to the last 28 days, Indonesia, United Kingdom, appreciate you. Thank you so much watching the channel. Appreciate you. And so let's close this down. Okay, so that is the back end. What are some trends? These are basically some future videos giving me some ideas of what to create. But that is the back end of the channel. So let's see what is the action plan for this coming week. Well, there's a few things. I have a lot on my content calendar to create for videos, and there might be some appetite to release more than one video. The things I'm working on, obviously, like what I was mentioning earlier, is doing a review on the Rode Wireless Pro and this handle. Just kind of a segue from the Insta360 Go Ultra is the Insta360 X5. Now, I kind of want to talk about why am I choosing these cameras? Well, the Insta360 Go Ultra, I think, is a great, amazing device. I originally purchased it for cycling, as I was cycling in the summer to record and document my adventures and share on social media like Instagram. And there is a YouTube channel that I have more focused on a podcast with one of my friends on cycling. And I thought about content creation, and I said, hey, this would be a great camera, even just to do YouTube for someone that is wanting something small and easy to record and don't have to worry about that much camera settings. You know, for instance, when I'm doing a video for the channel on the FX30 or the A7 IV, I'm shooting in log, I'm checking exposure, I'm checking lighting, and then I'm doing my video editing, I'm working on the color, all those type of things, where something like the Insta360 Go Ultra, you can hit record and it's pretty decent, especially if you're first starting to create content. Now, when I first started to create content on the channel, was just using my iPhone. So back then, I had a iPhone 12 Pro. I think it was iPhone 12 Pro, and that's what I started with. I added some lighting and then kind of grew from there. However, my first videos were on my iPhone. And when I think about the Insta360 Go Ultra, it's in 4K, it's 4K 60. I mean, it's an action cam, and it has a least amount of resistance to take with you. Because one of the challenges for YouTube when you're creating content, regardless if it's indoors or outdoors or out in public, if you want to do vlogging, is which is going to be the easiest to use, because I think it's less intimidating to record from a small device like the Insta360 Go Ultra versus bringing a much larger in context mirrorless camera like the Sony FX30 or the Sony A7 IV. And I think when we talk about content creation, just press record. You don't have to do, other than cutting the footage, you don't have to worry about exposure, you don't have to worry about white balance, you don't have to worry about color. The profiles are fairly decent, especially if you're just starting on YouTube. I mean, even here, I'm live streaming, and looking at my picture quality on here, I do need to work on dilating it in versus, let's say, my videos where I'm spending a lot more time on lighting and exposure and white balance and those type of things, and then video editing and making sure I got the right color and brightness and all those type of things. So I think for those of you that are starting off with YouTube or maybe even revitalizing your channel, just find a camera that works, and that Insta360 Go Ultra, I think, is one of those cameras. The Insta360 X5 is interesting. It is, again, something that I purchased for my videography business originally, but really started using during the cycling season. Again, it's giving you this 360-degree field of view. And I think for someone that's just starting it could be interesting. The footage is pretty amazing. You can reframe things if you don't have the right framing or you didn't have the camera in the right spot and you're just new to cameras altogether. There's a little bit of learning curve when it comes to the editing though, because it's filming this 360 degrees and the file sizes are huge. Anyways, that is another camera that I'm looking to post as well. And when it comes to the video podcast, it makes it much easier. I'm really focusing on the video part of it. I shouldn't say focusing on video, just making sure that I have video. I'm not doing much editing other than pressing record. The nice thing is the workflow is much easier. Before, I do a video podcast just for YouTube, and then I'd export and split the audio and then upload that on something like Buzzsprout. And I've switched over to Spotify. Spotify has been great for podcasts, and they also do video. So I think video is the future, and I'm glad that it is. I think it's a little bit more engaging, and you can see sometimes when you're listening to the voice and you're just kind of imagining, what do they look like? Sometimes you're disappointed, sometimes you're not. And with Spotify, it's not just like YouTube. YouTube's the only video podcast. Spotify is encouraging and providing that support. And switching from Buzzsprout to Spotify, it still sends the audio version automatically to Apple Podcasts and other podcast mediums, which is nice. So the workflow is so much easier. And for the live streams, I want to do more than just this. So watch out for the future, because there's Black Friday coming up as well. I think it's sometimes easier to do live streams about different products. You know, for instance, that's in my content calendar, but would be beneficial for people wanting to get some real life experience from different products, as Black Friday could be one of the, well, it is one of the times where you're going to get the best deal. So things like mice, the Stream Deck that I haven't fully reviewed yet, but it probably do a live stream and see what the update is on that. I have the Stream Deck pedal, which I'll be reviewing. What's nice about Stream Deck, these are simple, easy to use products, and just makes things easier in the things that you're doing. And not like, I'm not a gamer, but I'm using the Stream Deck for live streaming. So there's a lot of shortcuts here. The pedal just makes it easier, so you don't have to use your hands, and it's underneath the desk. And yeah, even though I'm doing a full video on the Rode Wireless Pro, be probably doing a live stream and talking about that, and just some other products I think will be really, really exciting. So, well, thank you for staying, watching. I know there's been people in and out, which is totally fine. And if you're watching this after the stream, add some comments and let me know, what are you looking to see for Black Friday, or what kind of videos would you like to see from me when it comes to content creation and gear reviews, tech reviews, etc. For now, thank you so much for sticking with me for 43 minutes. And I'm just finishing the second cup of coffee. Thank you so much. Enjoy the Saturday, enjoy the weekend, and we'll catch you in the next one.